to I've Walked in Your Shoes. I'm your host, Jose Antonio Cabrera. Tony, thanks for being with us on this episode. Another great episode. We have Naomi Gilroy. For those that don't know her as Gilroy Williams. Sorry about that. But yeah, welcome to the show. We're just going to keep moving on. Eli, Melanie, now Naomi. I call her Naya, so that's what I'll probably be calling her. And just same as myself, prodigals that have left and followed a path of
self-destruction.
Self-destruction.
There wasn't really much good.
And then, yeah, for the grace of God,
Thankfully.
by the grace of God, thankfully that we're here where we are today. If you don't mind, Naya, you're going to be on the hot seat today, and if you want to share with us, I know we hung out a lot when we weren't in church. We do a lot of partying and whatnot, but I don't really know, like the other story, the other side of that, because I only knew you from the partying side. But yeah, if you want to tell your story from what made you leave or why you left, and then what was your rock bottom, so to speak, and then what made you want to seek God again?
I left pretty much like right after graduating, so I was about 17.
Wow.
Yeah, like almost 18.
Yeah.
I left, and I remember my mom and everybody says I ran away, but I left. I did. We were living in the church house, and I remember I wanted to go. I wanted to go away. I wanted to go, see my family and stuff like that. And no, I wasn't allowed. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of not being able to do nothing. So I was like, I just snapped and I just left one day. So they didn't know I left. They were actually at church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on Sunday. That's when we lived in the church house. And I left with my cousin. She had her car, Leah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was going back to Edmonton, and I wanted to go so bad. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to go now. I'm a big girl. I thought I was a big girl,
Yeah.
So I packed my stuff up and I took off and I left. And I can remember driving on the highway and I was like, oh my God, looking over, are my parents coming? Are they there?
In the days before cell phones were.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I thought I was all cool and stuff like that. And then we got to Edmonton, and then I remember my mom, she was freaking out. They actually drove there to come get me, but I was like, no, I'm not going back. I didn't want to go back. So I stayed there for, I don't even know how long I stayed there for. It wasn't that long. I remember just being there, just trying out sin, right? I wanted to see what it was like.
Sin.
Like
a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, trying out
And I'm like,
sin.
okay, so, I mean, I started and then I was hanging around. Then I still wasn't happy. So I remember eventually I came back home. It wasn't that long. And then I think I went back to church just for a little bit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't I was in for a long time. It was just for a little bit. And then I had left again, I guess I could say, right? I wasn't totally back in. Mm-hmm. But I did start coming back. And then that was before, and then I met the father of my two children, my Janiyah and Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
And
take your time. You're good. I know
I just remember meeting them, and it felt so good to have attention from a man, you know what I mean? We
You weren't allowed to have it.
So I was like, okay, I got this attention and it felt so good. And so I met him, had a kid. I remember I had Janiyah, but before I had her, I can remember being abused so bad. I can remember nights and I feel so bad to this day for my parents because I put them through so much. I live with so much guilt. I really did, and you don't think of it when you're doing it, but when I think of it now, I hurt my parents so bad. I remember my mom crying to come home, don't go, when I had first left, but when I had left again, and then I met the father of my two children, but I can remember, like, being abused, like, literally being abused. Like, I never seen my dad do that to my mom. I never seen anybody, you know what I mean, do that. I can remember being punched and being hurt. I can remember sitting up just so I could breathe.
Oh my goodness. Sorry to hear.
And you don't want to tell nobody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
you want to be that, you know, and you
Yeah.
want to be that strong person. And I can remember I was hurt. I can remember this. And I can remember my dad, you know, asking me, are you okay? You know, like, what's this person doing? But I had to lie. Like, I didn't want to. And I can remember my mom even, like, Naomi, I know. But I
don't
I
want
want
them
to
to be
hide
right.
it, you know?
You don't want them to be
Exactly.
right.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to be strong and independent. I can remember my dad calling the police even. Like, what can I do about my daughter? Like, she's
Yeah.
being abused. Like, this man is abusing her. And sorry, sir, you know, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
And then I remember kind of like, you know, like I was with him, but I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
was like a single mom though. And then I had Kingston. And then I went through all that with him. He had a heart problems. I was in the hospital with him having
remember
surgery
that.
with him. Like I was all alone, you know, and he wasn't there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were taught, you know, I felt like that I had to stay with him.
Yeah.
I felt that I had to stay because I had two kids. I didn't want to be though, like, you know, I had these two kids.
From a broken family.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never saw that and I wasn't used to that. Like, you know, so I wanted to stay, but I'm like, you know what? I couldn't stay. I had to go. And I remember I took my two kids and I just left and I went to Edmonton and I stayed there again for a while and tried it again. Stayed there for a while and then I started getting introduced to certain things, hanging out with certain people, like, you know, like I saw like a lot. I can remember partying, like we just lived to party.
Yeah.
Just
That's
lived
what
to
it seemed
party.
like.
Even and then I came back home because there's no place like home, right? So I came back home and I was hanging around certain people again and parties. Like parties were like you'd wake up the next morning and somebody was shot and killed at that party. You know what I mean? There's so many parties. One time I can remember this guy getting shot in the head and I'm like, okay, like I was right there. Like that could have been me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of these things. And so that's...
Remember one of those hall parties?
Yeah.
That we went to, and there was 3 that were shot.
Yeah,
At that
and
same party.
it's
And
crazy.
we had left, and then we heard about it in the morning.
Yeah.
G and I were like, we were
You were
just
there.
there.
Like it's not
I'm not
funny,
going to more
but like,
no more Naya parties.
I know it's crazy. I thank God, like, you know, honestly, God had his hand on me. And then I think of all the things that I've ever done, and I'm like, I'm still alive. Not like I was some like hardcore gangster or something, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
you never know nowadays. We live to party. Like, we live to party.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, I'm talking like bottles, a
I
bottle
know.
each night.
I don't know why it is with. I don't know if it's just because we didn't get to do it growing up.
Yeah.
Because that's what I lived for
Yeah.
too. It was
Yeah.
like Friday would come, it was
Yeah.
payday, and then I'm like Melanie said,
Yeah.
thing of cocaine and booze, right? And
Yeah.
then just partying. And now that I look at it, I'm like, what a waste of money. What a waste of
I
my
know,
life.
by all that
It was,
money.
but it was
It
at
just
that
filled
time,
that
it was
void,
something
though.
that you had never seen.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
never seen it. You'd never,
Never
experienced
experienced
it.
it.
You'd never been around
But it was-
people
it
that
was-
did it. So it was new. It was exciting.
But even
there was that
afterwards,
draw,
it was
right?
just so much and all the time, and then you couldn't get enough.
But that was
It
the peer pressure,
and you'd
too.
feel the nasty hangovers. Is what I'm just. Why did I put myself through that? Like hovering over a toilet, puking your guts out, to do it over again on Saturday.
And it's
just-
like you can't go out unless you're drunk. You couldn't. Like, it was no fun. Like, literally, you know. So, I mean, man. And then now that I'm, you know, I've grown up.
Would you, if your kids came and told you that that's what they were doing?
I'd beat them up.
Yeah, I know.
Here.
She doesn't mean it, people. She does not mean
No.
that. But that's me too. It's like I don't want Eddie and Nina
No,
to go
and that's
through
the
that.
thing. It's
right?
so
Because
true.
it to me that was fun then. To me right now, that's not fun.
No.
Right? You're not only damaging your body,
Yeah.
right? And you're
Well,
putting
it'd
yourself through
it'd be
all that.
interesting to see, like, if you'd kept all the receipts from all those nights out.
How rich.
I'd be a
Just
millionaire.
how much money there was.
I know,
that,
eh?
that was just,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because you don't think about it, right? Like you go and it's, oh, a drink's $10. Okay, but then
10
there's
times
10
10.
of them.
Yeah.
Well,
And then it's the things that you're buying for the other people because it's never just your own that you're
Yeah.
buying.
it's like before
You know,
you and
like-
I, babe, I was talking to Sadie and then I was talking to Eli when Eli was here. When I was heavy into cocaine and I was pretty much 700 to 1,000 a night, and that
Oh
was
my
Fridays
word.
and Saturdays. Mind you, I was single back then. So all that money was mine and I barely
Living the
paid
dream.
for rent. No, it's not really a dream when I think about it now because
No.
it's like
Well,
you said,
yes.
all that money could have been in the bank.
But hindsight is always 20/20, right? Hindsight's always perfect. You can always look back on it and realize that what you were doing then isn't good. But would you relive it if you had the chance? Would you
No.
do it differently?
No.
Right?
I would do it differently.
There's
absolutely.
things I'm sure that you would do differently, but that experience is what led you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So think
True.
like your life could be that now,
No.
right? It could be
It
something
could be,
that
yeah.
you overcame
There's
younger.
so many
and,
people that
you
struggle
know,
as well. People that have left that I still talk to and I still that have reached out and they're in that situation right now and they're our age
Yeah.
and they're still heavily into the drugs and they're into the alcohol and they can't leave
Yeah.
the bottle alone. They can't. Every time, like we were talking earlier, there's people that can't.
Yeah.
They have. That's the way they
Yeah.
function.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one of the things that's part of the reason why, like, I felt it that I did that, right? And you did that. Eli did that. Melanie did that. And there's still an out. There's still,
Oh, yeah,
you still
for
have
sure.
time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not too late for you,
No.
right? That's why I'm wanting to have you guys on, and Melanie and Eli. Yeah, just because you're telling your story that you already went through that,
Yeah.
and you can still, God can still
Oh, yeah, for sure.
forgive you.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's always, God is such a forgiving God.
Yeah.
I think about it like even now, like like thank God, like I'm still here.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm alive, thank God that I actually have a second chance, and that means so much to me now that I've grown up and I've had 3 more kids and I see how this world is too, and I'm
Oh.
like it scares me
That
so
scares
bad for
me.
my,
That's
my
one of my
babies.
things.
Like it scares
And that's
me.
one of the reasons I think I'm a barky dad. But Amanda calls it barking because I like "Rah, rah, rah," right. But at the same time, it's just there's so many scary things out there.
Yeah, and it's-
I'm always worried, like
Yeah.
because we already went out there too.
Yeah.
And just
And people are so mean, so cold, and it's like I just want to protect my kids. Like don't come near them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that mama bear. Like, and I just always like I pray for my kids, my older kids. I pray. They'll come to God. I pray.
yeah.
And my
We're
husband.
praying
You know
with
what I mean?
Yeah.
So-
And yes. You came the other day. Come again.
Yeah, that was like a miracle.
That's what I had to ask you. Well,
Like-
is he coming? And you're like, oh no, he. And then the next Sunday, I think it was.
Yeah, like he doesn't
Yeah.
believe in like God.
No, yeah,
He
he's.
believes in the Creator. But I'm
Yeah.
like,
If you want to
God
tell
is-
people, he's Jamaican,
Yeah.
Rasta. So at least they know why
Yeah,
he's not.
he's from Jamaica. He has even though they're all brought up with God, like they
Yeah.
know about God, they know about church and that. So it's just a different perspective
Yeah.
he has of God. But like, I mean, he can't try to tell me nothing though. He tries to. I'm like, yeah, don't even go there, buddy. It's God. God is the creator. Like, But yeah, I mean, and now that I'm older and had my kids, like I said, I want my kids in church, and they love church. They love coming to church. What really, really got me too is I remember like a couple years, just everything. Like my life is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Like I got a lot going on in my life. I'm not gonna sit
all
here
do.
and tell
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
We all
but
do.
like it's not perfect. My marriage is not perfect. You
Ours
know what I
isn't
mean? Like
either.
it's hard, and so it's like I literally, like I honestly, Tony, I really hit rock bottom, and I'm a news junkie. Let's get that out there. I know I shouldn't be. I remember I told Eli, he's like,
Every
really?
day is like doomsday.
No, like seriously, like I'm on checking and I follow like the Ukraine-Russia war, the Israel, like
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
seriously. And so I remember when the war happened with Russia and Ukraine, I can remember sitting in the garage smoking weed with my husband, and I was tripping out. Like, because, that was my choice of drug. I did do weed. That's the only drug, though, that I ever did. I can honestly say I had such a fear that I would, like, die if I touched it. So
I know.
I thank God for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can remember that right when like Putin rolled in the troops. And I immediately started panicking. Immediately, I'm like, oh my God. I can remember going to bed and I was crying. I started crying so hard.
Oh wow.
I'm like, oh my God, like
You
like,
just think it's coming
like,
here.
oh my God, yeah, like the world's gonna end. Like God's coming. Like God is coming. And I was freaking out. I'm like, what if you guys have to go to war? What if the whole world starts? You know what I mean? He's like, calm down, you know. And I'm like, no, seriously, like this is scary. And then so that kind of really got me. And then I remember Bishop's book. That's what got me. Remember I was telling you.
Yeah.
So I started.
You had told me about that book, eh?
I picked it up.
You told me about it, but I hadn't touched it.
Yeah.
Until that first episode that we did.
Yeah.
That's when I touched it. But yeah, you told me a couple times.
Because I was just so lonely. Like there was nothing. Like even though I'm married, even though whatever. Like there's always like a loneliness inside of me, and it's like nothing. It doesn't matter how high I got or whatever.
Eli said the same thing, and you did too.
I've told you that
just
too.
at night,
You're
you're always chasing for that.
And like at nighttime, like I would bawl, I would cry. Nobody would know, but I would, and I was just it's just so lonely, and I'm like, and I know why. I was missing God. Like, I know that. I was, not just because I was brought up with that, but I experienced God. We know how God feels.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just so lonely, and I remember that book, and I picked it up because Bishop gave my dad one to give to my brother, my sister, and me. So I picked it up, and I just started reading just the beginning, right? Just the beginning part. Mm-hmm. And then that part when he's like, come back. And I just started bawling. I was like, oh my God, And I could just, like, I just wanted to pick up the phone and be like, Bishop, but I didn't want to be like a weirdo. Like, okay, Bishop, I'm going to call you now because I just read your book. But like, I literally, I started crying and I just shut the book. That's all. I didn't even read it anymore. I shut the book. Just that
first little bit.
And I just put it up. And then, I continued on. And then it was a while that went by. And then I picked up the book again. Yeah. And I just read that part again. Just all of it. Come home, please come home. And I remember just bawling. And I remember reaching out to Amy Steinberg. And I was like, telling her, like, I'm just tired. Like, everything in my life, nothing's going right. I was reading Bishop's book. I just want to come home. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I remember I came to church. And I forget who it was that was preaching. And I remember you're like, you feel better, eh, Naya? Remember when I went up?
Yeah.
And so, like,
We've been going for a while, I think.
Yeah, you had been. And you guys honestly were an inspiration for me, too. Honestly, because I would always ask my mom, like, Mom, like, are they going?
I always ask your mom, too.
I'm like, Amanda? Really? I'm like, Amanda, no.
Right?
She's like, no, Naomi, seriously. I'm like, yeah, right, Mom.
Right?
Like, I'm not saying that to be rude.
No.
And even Tony, I was like, really?
That's what...
I'm like every Sunday and every Wednesday they're there. And I'm like, she's like, yes. I'm like Sunday morning, Sunday night.
Like they're really going to all of the services.
I didn't believe it. And then I was like, you know what? It was an inspiration to me too. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be left out. I want to be in it too. Like, And I want my kids to grow up in church. Like they love church. I want to be in it too. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care what anybody says. There's no place like being at church. You feel so safe. When I'm there, like I feel like untouchable. Like nothing bad gonna happen to me today.
Like it's very different because and I said this in other episodes too, but like it wasn't always that comfortable.
Yeah.
And for you guys, your experience is very different because you knew a lot of the faces there still. A lot of the people are the same. But for me, it wasn't always comfortable. But I find now it is. And like Pastor Walker's message from last week was around it being a safe place.
Yes.
That there's so much going on in
the
outside
that
world.
That was so awesome.
That was so needed.
Yeah.
So much junk and noise in the world and so much sin out there that there's got to be somewhere that's safe for your family to be.
That's one of my fears is someone taking advantage of my kids.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of my biggest things is one of my biggest fears. And for him to come in and just say, hey, if you touch any of our kids, it's automatic,
that was awesome.
Right? And it was something that was needed. It was something that, I don't know, just validates it even more. Not just the God thing, but the person that's in charge and
and just knowing
great.
Like it's about God, but it's also a place to just be with your family.
Yeah.
Like there's other things outside of the service itself. There's fellowship that goes beyond just the service with people. Like these people are our friends.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're your
Like-
real friends.
like,
they're not gonna.
they're not
I mean,
there
not
for your
everybody's
money and the
perfect,
drinks
Not
that you're
everyone,
gonna buy
that's
them.
it.
yeah, but they're real. You don't
Yeah.
got to worry about, oh, I'm hanging out with this person and then she said that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's
or,
real.
you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I don't really have the funds. All right. See you later.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Right. And then, not everyone's like that you meet, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people
Oh,
that are
yeah.
like they're out
Especially
to what they can
nowadays.
get. Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, I don't feel that with church people. For the most part.
But no, like it's
No.
it's more than just the service on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like Pastor Walker has said many times. I know Bishop King said it in one of his messages too. But it's you have to want to be a part of people's lives.
Yeah.
And the Bible didn't just say only come here and only look to your brothers when you need support. You're supposed to share the joy. You're supposed to share the suffering. You're supposed to share the song.
Jamie-
You're supposed to
Brother Jamie said that
like
too, though.
you're supposed to enjoy that with
Yeah.
each other. You're not supposed to live your life alone and
Yeah.
solitary and then only come together for church service.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're supposed to continue that bond outside of it, and I think that's a part of it too that's nice is that there is people that you can call or you can message when you're having a bad day or
Yeah.
even when you've seen something good and there's
And they won't judge
there's other
you.
people there, and there's no judgment from it, right?
Getting
Just-
back to Naya, though.
Yeah, but just know, like,
Go
if
ahead.
you hit rock bottom, there's always a God, and He's always there. He's never left. You may think that, you know what I mean? It's not Him that's left, it's you that's left.
Yeah.
So just remember, He's always there, and He's such a forgiving God. He's such a forgiving God. I thank God all the time. Like, even I'll be driving, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, thank you, God. I get another chance. I get another chance at
Yeah.
this because I will say, like, I'm not a prophet. Nobody knows when God's coming, but I'm pretty sure things are starting to wind down.
Yeah.
And
She's
don't
not crazy,
feel,
people.
no, I'm not yet. I think we gotta get it together. But just remember, you can always come home. Always come home. God is waiting there,
Yes.
and He's forgiving.
He is very forgiving. And but just getting back to
Think
because
of-
you didn't get into the extremes of some of us.
No.
So your rock bottom was different than some was, which is pretty crazy to see that. Like Melanie and Eli were talking, each person rock bottom is different and what brought you back, right? What can you tell? What would you say to those prodigals that are still out there?
That you can come home. You can. There's no sin that's worse than the other. You know what I mean? Sin is sin, and God is forgiving. And if you want to come back, you can come back.
Mhm.
We would love to. I would love to have a big old reunion with
Me
everybody
too.
that we grew up with.
Hey,
And
It's like
And if you're on the Backsliders Facebook page asking about what's happening at church, why don't you step into it?
there you go.
There you go. Mama spoke.
I'm not part of no Backsliders page.
No,
I'm
but
not a part of it either,
no,
but I know that
I
it
left
exists.
it. I was on it for like a couple days, and I was, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys. Like, here's the thing: is yes, we had it rough. We had it a little tough when we were growing up. There was some things that yes caused trauma, yes caused hurt, but at the same time, you choose the path that you want to take. You don't. You can't just keep blaming that past
Your
for
circumstance. Yeah.
for your life. You can pull up your boots, you can pull up your britches, so to speak, and you can choose to live a life of, it doesn't have to be holiness, because I wasn't living a holy life prior to coming to church, but we were doing pretty good. I wasn't out gang banging, I wasn't out causing harm, we were helping people, working, like, you can choose to put the bottle down, put the drugs away, and if you can't, if you find that it's not easy, because I know a lot of the addictions is hard, then you can choose to get the help that you need, right? And then that's why I say a lot of the times, if you need help, if you want to talk, I'm not a counselor, but I have put myself through a lot. So I'm always here if you want to chat on Messenger, my number, reach out and I can give it to you. But that's the thing is, yes, we had a rough upbringing, but at the same time, you can put pull your bootstraps and you can put yourself.
It's no different than what they say, what do they call it? Generational curses, right? And seeing, that this is generational and this is it is very generational for you guys. But there's many families where there's generations of alcoholics, generations of smokers, generations of whatever it is. The choice that you have to make is whether you're going to be a victim or the victor.
Yes.
And so long as you're choosing to be the victim, that's where you're living in sin. That's where you're doing things of the devil. That's where you're doing things that are unholy. That's where you're doing things that aren't good for you, your body, the people that are around you. And if you're choosing to be the victor, you're choosing to live a different life than that. You're choosing to do things that are better for you.
I get that, but sometimes being the victim doesn't necessarily have to be seen as not living for God.
I'm not saying that victim of a circumstance of something happening to you.
Okay.
At that point when you realize that something in your life is not right, there's a choice to be made, and that's to continue to be a victim or to be a victor of that circumstance.
Then, yes, exactly, because that's what I did. Right, at one point I had enough, like the drinking. I'd still drink socially, camping, but it wasn't like those binges that I'd go on right. And then at the same time, when I decided I'm like, you know what? I've had enough of the Coke. I'm just done with it. It was my decision. And yes, it's hard because the people you hang out with has a lot to do with it as well, right?
For sure.
Because it's like, okay, so I had stopped, and then someone else would come and say, hey. And I'd be like, oh, it's so tempting, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that I stopped is hanging out with those people. I didn't hang out with those people that I used to go and get high with. So it's your choice. It's your choice to stop that and to try to continue to move forward in a better, positive way. Another thing that you can do, and pretty much this is pretty easy. You just kneel down and you ask God to help you, because for a lot of the things that I overcame, there were still things that I couldn't let go of, and there were still things that I battled to let go of. And then I feel that once I started giving myself to God, it just felt that it helped so much, and He took it. Right? So
even me, I still live with a lot of guilt, like I was telling you.
Yeah.
I still feel like I don't even think I'm worthy, you know what I mean? Like, God, like, the things I've done, yes, I've repented, but I'll just have that guilt on my shoulders. And I feel so bad for raising kids and not bringing them up in church. Like, I feel like it's my fault if something happens to them, you know what I mean?
That's how I feel with the kids. And then,
I know, it's so hard.
And then I want to push them to go. I want to push them to go.
But you can't.
You can't, exactly. Amanda reminds me of that.
I said it. I know so many kids,
all
whether it was
pray.
Church or after school clubs or, like brownies and Girl Guides and dance and sports. And I know so many kids that I grew up with, and they resented their parents and they hated the activities because it was they were always getting forced to go to these things. And I always said it with the kids too. Like, I remember your dad used to always say, oh, Eddie needs to do something. He needs to pick an instrument. He needs to go to karate. He needs activities. And I would always push back and say, no, he needs to decide that he's going to do these things because I don't want them to ever just, and like I said to you, your experience in church as a kid was because your parents brought you there.
Yeah.
It wasn't because you chose to walk through the door. And when you chose to walk through the door, your experience was very different. I want the kids to choose to walk through the door and have their experience. Right. And to have their, to build their own relationship with God, not the relationship that we think they should build with God. I don't want to do that to them.
And it will happen, like,
especially you praying.
Just keep praying. Look at our moms and our dads, the prayers, how many years, and look at our prayers answered.
How many years were you gone?
Oh, well, I left when I was like about 17, right? Almost 18, so pretty much until now. Like, I mean, I came back a couple, but it wasn't like I wasn't in.
Yeah.
So
just imagine all those prayers.
I know, and that's why I still live with so much guilt. I feel so
and all
bad.
those tears, like my grandma. I remember my grandma would be, may she rest in peace. I miss her. But she was one that she'd wake up. I remember, and she'd always be praying, and she'd always tell me, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you. When are you going to come? I see you coming back. And I was like, yeah, right. Same with my dad. And that's part of the reason I feel bad now for that, because my dad was one of the ones that was like, I'm praying for you. When are you going to join us? And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just not even going to go visit, because that's what it just turned to be. It was like,
yeah.
felt like he'd always try to get me to go. Now I wish
I know.
my dad was here.
Yeah.
I wish, because I would 100%, right?
Yeah.
But I appreciate the prayers, and I thank God for the prayers from our parents.
Oh,
right?
if it wasn't for
From
praying
the church,
parents,
for
where
those
would
that
we be?
prayer warriors. But yeah, it's just crazy to me. Like Eli said, who would have thought it's Thursday today? I was going to say Friday, but Thursday.
We're
On a
not
Thursday
taking
night.
shots.
Right, Thursday night was a club night, and you're trying to figure out where you're
Yeah.
gonna go, and here we are.
This
We
is
had dinner.
The new fun.
But yeah, it'd be great to get a few people together that have been on and just have a
Good old conversation.
good old
Games night.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a games night.
Just hang out.
That's something that'd be
talk
good too.
about the good old days. Like we've done it with Steven, your brother. We've done it with Eli when we started talking to him. You've done it with your brother, like with Gio.
Yeah.
Just sit and reminisce about times when you guys were younger and things that you guys used to do. Like we were doing it today.
And just quick, I'm gonna cut in quickly. Steven, you told me to keep praying for you, and I am, buddy. I love you, and I see you walking through those doors one day. And I'm just going to keep praying for you. And I'm sure your dad, your mom, your sister here, always
Yes.
praying for you. And we love you. And yeah, did you want to say anything else? Did you want to
No, I
tell
mean,
us a
if
little
you want
more?
to keep talking, let's go. No, I'm just joking. I was I was shy at first, but I kind of broke out of my shell after everybody saw me cry. Now they know my ugly face. No, I'm just joking. No, that kind of actually felt good though.
to let it out?
It
Yeah.
can be cathartic to
That's-
I mean, I still have things, but like there's certain things like I'm still no, I'm hiding those forever. I think I'll get buried with some of my secrets.
That's the thing with me is like
That's
when
what
I
we said
first
too, yeah.
when I first started, and I didn't even tell Amanda some of the stuff I've talked about. She got bits and pieces, but then once I started talking about it's helped me a lot, because I've had it like just festering and sealed in,
Yeah.
right? And then it has helped me a lot. But like you, there's some things that I don't know, like. It's nothing that I'd go to jail for.
No, I know.
But at the same time, it's something that I'm like,
You don't want to air your
Too
dirty
embarrassed.
laundry.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that's why I want to say that. I'm just so thankful, because
Yes.
even though you don't know these things, God knows these things,
Exactly.
and He still chose to forgive, right? And He died on the cross for that. That's the reason He died on the cross, for your sins, so you wouldn't have to die for your sins. So I'm just so thankful, and I want to say thank you to Naya for being on. Babe, did you have any last words or inspiration or
No.
anything?
I said it earlier.
Okay, I want to say
Oh,
thank you
yeah.
once again to my favorite sister-in-law, Leah. She's behind boop, boop, boop. And yeah, I hope that we fix the block issue. But yeah,
There's
thank you.
squares on your face.
Do I get a block
Sorry.
in too?
No, just Melanie on me.
That was
Thank you for being with us, and hope to see you on the next one. We love you guys. We're praying for you. Stay blessed.
Come home.
Amen.